Over to you.
Thank you very much, Sister Doris, Sister Chukan, and Sister Cheng for today's Sunday Pūjā. Back with us this week, we have Brother Ananda Fong to share on the blessings of our life. Lessons from Mangala Sutta. Over to you, Brother Ananda.
Thank you, Didi Terence. Let me start with the short puja before the sharing. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. Well, for this occasion, happily blessed Dragon New Year to all those who celebrate this. With this coming year, hopefully we have the dragon which exhibits courage and fearlessness in the going forth in its objectives, guide us or be an example to us when we walk the Noble Eightfold Path. Now, in the Ita Sutta, the Buddha has mentioned the important aspect about, or rather revealed what we already all wish for, what we desire, what we welcome in our lives. And the Buddha said, House Lord, there are these 5 things that are desirable, beloved, agreeable, but difficult to obtain in the world. What are the 5? We all want long life, beauty, happiness, fame, and rebirth in heaven. Now, of these 5 things, House Lord, the Buddha said, I do not teach that they are to be obtained through prayer, nor through wishing. If one could obtain them through prayer or wishing, who would not obtain them? The Sutta continues. For a noble disciple, House Lord, who wishes to have long life, beauty, happiness, fame, and rebirth in heaven, it is not proper that he should pray for all these. He should rather follow a way of life that is conducive to long life, beauty, happiness, fame, and rebirth in heaven. By following such a path, you obtain all these. So the key aspect here is, right in the center of this page, follow a way of life, which is the aspect of this morning sharing. What kind of life can we follow that is conducive to our long life, beauty, happiness, fame, and hopefully rebirth in heaven? And those who want to go further along the path, to go beyond heaven, go beyond samsara. And we come to the main guiding lecture given by the Buddha on blessings. The word Mangala meaning blessings from the Khuddaka Nikaya. And they are above, the codings at the top give what they call references to 2 locations in the Tipitaka, in the Khuddaka Nikaya, that houses this sutta. So a discourse on blessings. Now, you will notice that 1, 2, 3 are the first 3 blessings, which I will not go through today, but we are emphasizing on blessing number 4, 5, and 6. 4 being residence in a suitable locality. Number 5, having made merit in the past. And number 6, one's mind properly directed. Now, the Mangala Sutta is a sutta or lecture given by the Buddha that mentions 38 blessings. And they are often graduated. That means it starts from what I would call kindergarten, moving steadily up to primary school, to secondary school, and to higher levels until enlightenment. So these are the early stages. What this table says, the preparation, laying the right foundation in our lives so that we have a chance to progress further and obtain what we desire, that of long life, happiness, and so on. Now, touching on this aspect, residence in a suitable locality. Now, there's an interesting sutta called the Vanapatta Sutta, Ways of the Forest, from the Majjhima Nikaya, Sutta number 17. Now, this sutta has been given to what they call monastics, But you will see a lot of parallels between the advice given by the Buddha to monastics, and we can take some of the lessons given to monastics to mirror something similar in our lay person's life. So the sutta starts, Eva me sutang, or I heard thus. At one time, the Blessed One lived in the monastery offered by Anatta Pindika in Jeta's Grove in Savatthi. This is the famous Jetavana monastery. Now, from there, the Blessed One addressed the monks. Monks, I will teach the method of the forest. Listen, attend carefully, I will teach. Here, monks, the monk abides in a certain forest stretch. When abiding there, unestablished mindfulness does not get established. Unconcentrated mind does not concentrate. Not destroyed desires do not get destroyed. And the not attained noble end of the yoke is not attained. As for the four requisites of life, for the gone forth, robes, morsel food, dwellings, and requisites will ill have collected with difficulty. So these are talking about, the Buddha is giving examples of the life of a monk. Now, of course, monastics are engaging in a full-time program to purify themselves and to gain enlightenment. This is not what lay people would want, okay? But we carry on and we see what the Buddha has to say about certain aspects which has parallels for our lay lives. Now that monk should reflect, I abide in this forest stretch. To me, abiding in this forest. Unestablished mindfulness does not get established. Unconcentrated mind does not get concentrated. Not destroyed desires do not get destroyed. And the not attained noble end of the yoke or enlightenment is not attained. As for the four requisites of life, that means to keep themselves alive, for the gone forth, robes, morsel food, dwellings, and requisites, when ill, are collected with difficulty. Monks, he should abide in that stretch. He should not abide in that stretch of forest. He should leave it by night or by day. Now here, the Buddha is advising the monk that in certain locations where they try to practice the monastic way, that means establish mindfulness, concentration, destroying their cravings and attainment of enlightenment, and yet other aspects, that means the four requisites of life to support their going forth is collected with great difficulty. And the Buddha advises, one should not abide in that stretch of the forest. You should leave it by night or by day. That means leave the place immediately. Now, similarly for lay persons, lay people have certain requirements as to where we stay. We would like to achieve certain things, perhaps what they call closeness to our relatives, our loved ones, closeness to the place we work, the closeness to where we can get provisions, send our children to school, and so many other requirements which you are all familiar. But if all these are to be obtained with great difficulty, clearly that location is not suitable. Okay, this is the parallel which we can draw from this particular portion of the sutta. Now, the second iteration. Here, monks, the monk abides in a certain forest stretch. When abiding there, unestablished mindfulness, etc., etc., that the bhikkhu should reflect. Okay, unestablished mindfulness does not get established. Unconcentrated mind does not get concentrated. The not destroyed desires do not get destroyed. The not attained noble end of the yoke is not obtained. As for the four requisites of life, for the gone forth, robes, morsel food, dwellings, and requisites, when ill, are collected without difficulty. So I did not go forth as a homeless for the sake of robes, morsel food, dwellings, and requisites when ill, etc., etc. Monks, that bhikkhu considering should leave that stretch of the forest, should not abide there. So that particular location where the monk has chosen to settle for their practice cannot obtain mindfulness properly, get concentrated, work on their cravings, and attain nibbana. But their requisites are obtained easily, I mean collected without difficulty. So even with this one section, that means their practice is not fulfilled, but fulfilling their requisites of life are easily obtained, the Buddha still advised you should leave that stretch of the forest because you're not fulfilling what you set out to do. So similarly for a lay person, okay, so if even though certain things are obtained easily, but the what do you call it, objective of your life is not attainable, then you should consider moving to another location. Number 3, here monks, the monk abides in a certain forest stretch. Now, the bhikkhu should reflect, I abide in this forest stretch. To me, abiding in this forest stretch, unestablished mindfulness gets established. The unconcentrated mind concentrates. The not destroyed desires get destroyed. And the not attained noble end of the yoke is attained. As for the requisites of life, for the gone forth, robes, morsel food, dwellings, and requisites, when ill, are collected with difficulty. Now, and the Buddha continues, I did not go forth as a homeless for the sake of robes, and so on. That monk, considering, should not leave that stretch of the forest, should abide there. Here, although there are two main requirements, one is the what they call the purpose of becoming a monk, that is to establish mindfulness, to concentrate, to destroy craving, to attain nibbana. But the requisites of life are obtained with difficulty. The Buddha still says, should abide there. You should continue to stay there. The Buddha gives greater emphasis to the practice, although requisites of life are difficult to obtain. This is in respect to a monastic. And so for lay people, we have to consider, even if we find it difficult to get to what we want from where we stay, what are our objectives of life fulfilled easily. Now, if it is, then you should continue to stay there, even though your other aspects to fulfill life are obtained with difficulty. Number 4, here monks, the monk abides in a certain forest stretch. When abiding there, unestablished mindfulness gets established. The unconcentrated mind concentrates. The not destroyed desires get destroyed, and the not attained noble end of the yoke is attained. As for the requisites of life, for the gone forth, robes, morsel food, dwellings, and requisites, when ill, are collected without difficulty. So clearly from here, the purpose of a monk to me is to establish mindfulness, to concentrate, to work, to destroy the cravings, to attain nibbana, is easily done at that particular location. Plus, the requisites of life to support the monastic's life is obtained without difficulty. So both aspects are fulfilled. So right at the bottom, that monk, considering, should not leave that stretch of the forest, should abide there as long as life lasts. So with this particular location, the Buddha strongly encourages the monk to continue staying there because that location fulfills his practice, his purpose of becoming a monk, as well as fulfills the requirement, the requisites for life support. So similarly, what we have, what our objectives in life are at a certain location where we say, if they are fulfilled, and yet we can do other supports, obtain other supports, requisites for living in as a lay life, obtained without difficulty, we should continue staying there. That is clearly a suitable location. Now, number 5, here monks, the monk abides supported on a certain village, abides supported on a certain hamlet, abides supported in a certain town, abides supported in a certain state, abides supported on a certain person, means a person may continually support a particular monk, provide the requisites for the monk. Monks, when abiding supported by a certain person, unestablished mindfulness does not get established. Unconcentrated mind does not concentrate. Non-destroyed desires or cravings do not get destroyed, and the not attained noble end of the yoke is not attained. As for the 4 requisites for the gone forth, robes, morsel food, dwellings, and ill and requisites, when ill, are collected with difficulty. So even when one person tries to support you, these aspects of requisites are still collected with difficulty. Clearly, that bhikkhu should reflect. Monks, you should not abide supported on that person. he should leave that person by night or by day without informing, so that he may not follow. So clearly the last portion is very interesting. There are some people who attempt to support a monastic, although occasionally, even then the monk is having difficulty getting all the requirements he gets. But if the location is not suitable for his practice, then the Buddha's advice says you should leave that lay supporter, okay, without informing, because some lay supporters are so attached to the monk that they will attempt to follow the monk wherever the monk goes. Some people might call it monk chasing. Number 6, here bhikkhus or the monk abide supported by a person. When abiding supported by a person, unestablished mindfulness does not get established. Unconcentrated mind does not concentrate. Not destroyed desires do not get destroyed. And the not attained noble end of the yoke is not attained. As for the 4 requisites of life for the gone forth, robes, morsel food, dwellings, and requisites when ill are collected without difficulty. So clearly, in this case, even though supported by a person, that person is providing ample support in terms of requisites of life. No problem, except the practice of the monastic is still not up to par. So the Buddha says, monks, that bhikkhu should leave that person without informing, so that he may not follow. So here again, even though the requisites of life provided by a donor are collected without difficulty, but the location the monastic is residing does not support his practice, then the monastic should leave without informing, in case the layperson still wants to chase the monk to provide dana and so on. Now, number 7, here monks, the monk abides supported by a person. When abiding thus, unsupported mindfulness gets established. The unconcentrated mind concentrates. The not destroyed desires get destroyed, and the not attained noble end of the yoke is attained. As for the requisites of life for the gone forth, robes, morsel food, dwellings, and requisites when ill are collected with difficulty. So in this case, even though the monastic is supported by a person, perhaps that person is not giving that regularly. Okay, so not all the requisites of life are provided, but yet the monk can survive there, sort of. But his practice at that particular location is good. As mindfulness gets established, his mind can concentrate, cravings can get destroyed, and attaining of the various stages of enlightenment are possible. And the Buddha advised right at the bottom, that monk considering should follow that person, should not leave this person. So again, the emphasis is on the suitability of practice when associated with a particular donor. And number 8, here monks, the monk abides supported by a certain person. To him, supported by that person, unestablished mindfulness gets established, the unconcentrated mind concentrates, the not destroyed desires get destroyed, and the not attained noble end of the yoke is attained. As for the requisites of life for the gone forth, robes, morsel food, dwellings, and requisites when ill are collected with ease. So clearly, that particular person who's supporting is providing more than ample. Okay, collection is convenient, and yet the particular location where the monastic is practicing is able to go forward, progress in his practice. So the Buddha says at the bottom, that bhikkhu should follow that person as long as he lives, even if chased, should follow. So this is a perfect example of a good supporter, and yet that location the monk is residing supports his practice. So both areas are fulfilled. Now here on this particular page, I summarize the 8 iterations in which the Buddha mentions, okay, whether it's a forest, it's a village or hamlet, or a particular person. So to come to the quick conclusion right at the bottom, whether you should stay at that particular location as far as the particular monastery is concerned, should abide there. The bottom row, you can see the green boxes with Y. Y means yes, you should stay there. Number 3, of course, is what I call obtained with requisites obtained with some difficulty when ill. Number 4 is perfect, where all practice is supported as well as requisites are supported. That as far as the forest is concerned. And number 8 is also perfect. That means 8 is when the person is supporting you. But even number 7, if a person is providing partial support, but your progress along the path is good, you should also stay there. So there are 5 locations where in terms of forest or a person, even partially supported, but practice is good, or requisites are easily obtained and practice is good, you should stay in those particular locations. So we can try to draw similar conclusions for the lay life. Now, in terms of for the laity, people like us, we are not monastics. We have to be concerned about what kind of homes we want to stay in. Okay, and of course, kinds of home also may be affected by various considerations. And the first thing we always think of is affordability. Okay, even we stay in an apartment, there are varying affordability versions of varying apartments. How far is it from our workplace or places of amenities? How are the amenities? Is the location full of potholes? Is the local authority maintaining the amenities? Since I'm paying the assessment, which is coming up by the end of this month, we have to pay, but are the amenities properly provided? Are the center picture is that of medical attention? Are medical facilities available? Is security an issue at where we stay? Something we have to consider. And of course, our neighbors, karaoke, night markets. Of course, the Malaysian way of life, we would love to have night markets nearby, but nearby also has also other issues, because hawkers tend to throw their waste here, there into the drains and all that. So rats may abound and so on. And also if it's too near to our where we stay, then you have also noise and so on, and traffic jams and so on. So there are many considerations when you want to stay in the particular location. Now, what about other considerations? The community means our neighbors, people we mix with. They may not be Buddhists, they may be Muslims, Hindus, Christians, atheists, and so on. Right? But the community is very important. How are our neighbors? Do we get along? Can we make friends with them? Okay. Do we know our neighbors? And so on. And what about religious places? Are they convenient to be? Are they nearby where we can seek religious advice and so on? These are some of the considerations which we have to work on. Now, earlier in the 2 pages, there was mentioned conditions of worldly progress in this life and welfare and happiness in the life to come for householders. And this is given in the Digha Janu Sutta from the Anguttara Nikaya Book of 8, Sutta number 54. Here, the Buddha was at the Korea country, high up in the Himalayas, when the lay people came and talked to the Buddha. We, Lord, are lay people who enjoy worldly pleasure, and so on and so on. Let the Blessed One teach the Dhamma to those like us for our happiness and well-being in this life, for our happiness and well-being in lives to come. Now, for this morning's sharing, I will only venture on progress in this life, some aspects for our consideration. And the Buddha said, 4 conditions, Digha Janu, conduce to a householder's happiness and well-being in this very life. Which 4? The accomplishment of initiative or persistent effort, attentiveness and watchfulness, good friendship, balanced livelihood. Now, in most presentations on initiative and persistent effort, we are talking about being to have courage and energy to pursue our careers. But this persistent effort is also important to look at where we are staying. That means our residence. Be ever watchful as to suitable locations, which we can give up the present one to move to a more suitable location. Number 2, watchfulness. Now, in order to apply initiative and persistent efforts, we also have to be attentive and watchful, attentive as to the circumstances of our surroundings. Are our surroundings noisy? Are they do they pose a security issue? Are they what they call convenient to go to for shopping, to our place of work, to send children to school, and so on? So we also have to pay attention to those aspects, not just what we earn and how to take care of our earnings. Now, good friendship, well, in this case, a good friendship, there are various kinds. One is the community level. How do we get along with our neighbors? We do not stay like a hermit in the wild forest alone. We are staying in a community, and therefore we need to depend on another. We might need the help of our neighbors occasionally, and similarly, we also render help to our neighbors. So being a good community participant is also very important. But beyond that, good friendship can go deeper in the spiritual sense. Are there any or many in our community who are possible kalyana mitra? That means good spiritual friends. So good friendship in the community is one, which is very important practically, but kalyana mitra, which means good spiritual friends, are also important. They can provide advice to us in terms of spiritual aspects and so on. In terms of our practice and so on. Balanced livelihood is also important. And of course, with balanced livelihood, it also affects where we stay. Okay, what kind of livelihood is suitable for us for that particular location. And sometimes we may even change job because we want to go to a certain location that covers possibly career advancement as well as suitable location for residents. So these are some aspects for us to consider, to reflect upon. Now here, this sutta, the Kalyana Mitra Sutta, having good friends from the Samyutta Nikaya, chapter 3, sutta number 18. Here is quite an interesting aspect regarding who can be our Kalyana Mitra. It means good friends. So the Buddha was staying in Savatthi and so on, seated himself at a suitable place, King Pasenadi of Kosala. Savatthi is the capital of the Kosala country. So King Pasenadi of Kosala had a, what they call, most fortunate opportunity to visit the Buddha sometimes twice or 3 times a day when the Buddha was in the Jetavana monastery. So he addressed the Buddha thus: "Venerable Sir, while in quiet seclusion, this thought occurred to me. The Buddha has expounded the Dhamma well, but the Dhamma is fully beneficial only for those who have good friends." Now, fully beneficial only for those who have good friends, who have good companions, who are fully inclined towards virtue. It means practicing the moral aspects or spiritual aspects. Now, here again, the Dhamma is fully beneficial only for those. So even when practicing the Dhamma, we need good friends, good companions, and of course, those friends and companions who are inclined towards Sila, the practice of Sila. It is not beneficial for those who have wicked friends, who have wicked companions, who are inclined towards wickedness. And the Buddha agreed, "Quite so, great king, quite so." So this is an interesting take. So even having good friends, we have to judge accordingly. Now moving to the what we call blessing number 5. Just now we are covering blessing number 4 in the Mangala Sutta. This is blessing number 5. To have done meritorious actions in the past is a blessing. Why? Meritorious actions in Pali, punya, is some kind of action or karma which we have performed in the past. In the past means not the previous birth only, but it could be many, many births prior to this. Okay, all that coming forward, and some of these meritorious actions or demeritorious actions come and affect our lives in this life. Now here, Dhammapada verse number 16. Ita modati, pecha modati, kata punyo, ubayata modati, so modati, so pamodati, disva kamma visuddhi matano. Translated, the doer of good rejoices here and hereafter. He rejoices in both the worlds. He rejoices and exalts, recollecting his own pure deeds. So when we are doing wholesome actions, we are able to rejoice, not just in this life, which means what we do the karmic effects can bear fruit in this very life and also hereafter. So you have a happy life in both the worlds. Now, Punya Karya Vatu Sutta, ways of meritorious actions. Now, there are a number of suttas with similar names in the Tipitaka. This particular Punya Karya Vatu Sutta is from the Anguttara Nikaya, chapter, Book of 8, Sutta number 36. Now, there are amongst three ways of making merit. What three? There are ways of making merit by giving, that means dana, by practicing virtue, that means practicing sila, by meditation, bhavana, or mental cultivation. There is a person who only to a small degree has practiced the making of merit by dana. And likewise, to a small degree, he has practiced the making of sila. But the making of merit by bhavana, he has not undertaken. This person, after death, when his body breaks up, will be reborn among humans in an ill-favored condition. Like I said, whatever actions we did in the past, actions, or the word karma means actions, okay, especially with respect to dana, sila, bhavana. In this particular page, this person has done limited amount of dana, limited amount of cultivating of virtue or sila, has not done any meditation. This person on the passing away will be reborn, may be reborn among humans in an ill-favored condition. So as a human, he is born in the what we will normally call not so favorable condition. Another person has practiced to a high degree the making of merit by dana as well as by sila, but the making of merit by bhavana he has not undertaken. Such a one, after that, when his body breaks up, will be reborn among humans in favorable conditions. Now, this particular second iteration is interesting. A person has done quite a lot of dana, quite a lot of sila, has not even meditated, but yet after that, if he's born as a human, he's born in favorable conditions. Now, this alone gives us the formula of how to have favorable conditions in our lives in the next life by practicing a high degree of dana and a high degree of moral training or sila, even though we did not meditate. Or he will be reborn in the company of the deities of the four great divine kings, Chatu Maharajika. Now, human beings are in the plane existence number 5 from the bottom. The Buddha discovered there are 31 planes of existence. Human Manusya Loka is number 5 from the bottom. The four great divine kings, the Chatu Maharajika plane is plane number 6, just above the human realms. For the Chinese, if you go to Galaxy, the main entrance, right-hand side, you'll see 2 giant figures, and the left-hand side, 2 giant figures. These are the Chinese rendition of the 4 great divine kings. Now, there are the 4 great divine kings who had practiced to a very high degree, not just a high degree, but a very high degree, the making of merit by dana and by sila, surpass the deities of their realm in 10 things: in divine lifespan, in divine beauty, divine happiness, divine power, divine sights, sounds, smell, taste, and touches. Or he will be reborn in the company of the 33 gods, and there Saka, king of gods, who had practiced to a very high degree the making of merit by dana and sila, surpasses. Now, notice after the word surpasses, I put ... The sutta continues. The same statements are made for rebirth among the Yama gods, to Sita gods, the gods of creative joy, the gods of controlling others' creatures, and for the respective rulers of their realms. These are all Deva realms. You haven't reached the Brahma realms yet. So this is up to, I believe, realm number 12 out of 31. So these monks are the 3 ways of making merit. So dana and sila is very important. Of course, if you meditate, you propel you even to higher levels. Now, in yet another sutta, Saliyaka Sutta from the Majjhima Nikaya, Sutta number 41. Now here, the Buddha was talking to some lay people. Now, when they were seated, these lay people from the village of Sala were seated, they said to the Buddha, Master Gautama, what is the reason? What is the condition? Why some beings here on the dissolution of the body after death reappear in states of deprivation, in an unhappy destination, in perdition, even in hell? And what is the reason? What is the condition? Why some beings here on the dissolution of the body after death reappear in a happy destination, even in the heavenly world? So 2 questions posed by the lay people to the Buddha in the Saliyaka Sutta. Now the Buddha gave a very condensed answer here. Householders, there are 3 kinds of bodily conduct not in accordance with the Dhamma, unrighteous conduct. Notice I put ... The sutta continues. 4 kinds of verbal conduct not in accordance with the Dhamma, unrighteous conduct, and ... 3 kinds of mental conduct not in accordance with the Dhamma, unrighteous conduct. Now you should actually read the sutta in full to get the full flavor and the advice given by the Buddha. But quickly summarizing it, this aspect, those aspects which are not in accordance with the Dhamma, unrighteous conduct, as mentioned earlier, 3 kinds of bodily conduct, 4 kinds of verbal conduct, and 3 kinds of mental conduct are given in this yellow box. If a person is a killer of living beings, a taker of what is not given, misconduct in sexual desires, these are the 3 kinds of bodily conduct. What about the 4 kinds of verbal conduct? This person speaks falsehood, speaks maliciously and causes division in groups, speaks harshly, and gossips. So these are the 4 kinds of verbal conduct, not in accordance with them. And the last portion, 3 kinds of mental conduct. This person is covetous, that means extremely greedy, has a mind of ill will or hatred, has wrong view. So these are the 3 kinds of mental conduct. All these 3, 4, 3 constitute 10 demeritorious actions. But the sutta doesn't only talk about demeritorious actions. The sutta also talks about meritorious actions, righteous conduct. Again, 3 kinds, 3, 4, 3. 3 for bodily conduct, 4 for verbal conduct, and the last 3 for mental conduct. So it is a direct opposite of the previous page. Abandoning and abstains from killing living beings, abandoning and abstaining from taking what is not given, abandoning and abstain from misconduct in sexual desires, abandoning and abstaining from false speech, abandoning and abstaining from malicious speech, a person who is a uniter or reuniter of divided groups, abandoning and abstains from harsh speech, abandoning and abstaining from gossip. This person is not covetous, has no mind of ill will or hatred, and has right view. Again, 3, 4, 3. And you might say this adds up to 10 meritorious actions according to the sutta. And yet another sutta, frequently visited sutta, Chula Kamma Vibhanga Sutta, the shorter analysis of action from the Majjhima Nikaya Sutta number 135. Again, there was a conversation between lay people and the Buddha. And the question they pose, Master Gautama, what is the reason? What is the cause? Why baseness and excellence are seen among human beings, among the human race? What by baseness and excellence? They are talking about why are there inequalities in life? With respect to what? With respect to, for short-lived and long-lived people are to be seen. There are sickly and healthy people, ugly and beautiful people, uninfluential and influential, There are poor people, there are rich people, there are low-born, high-born, there are stupid people, there are discerning people are to be seen. So what is the reason? What is the cause? Why baseness and excellence are seen among human beings, among the human beings? So why is there this disparity within the human race? Now, I will encourage you to read this sutta in total. Here, I only provide 3 iterations on the positive side. Okay, the sutta actually goes on and talks about the negative followed by the positive. But here I concentrate on the positive aspects of 3 of the things brought up by the lay people. Now, there is a case when a woman or man, having abandoned the killing of living beings, abstains from killing living beings, dwells with the rod laid down, the knife laid down, scrupulous, merciful, and sympathetic for the welfare of all living beings. Now, through having adopted and carried out such actions on the breakup of the body after death, he or she reappears in a good destination in the heavenly world. So a person who practices this one aspect, that means abstaining from killing living beings, already is bound for the heavenly worlds, means higher than human realm, probably the Deva world. Now, if on the breakup of the body after death, instead of reappearing in a good destination in the heavenly world, this person comes to the human state. For some reason, is born as a human again. Then he or she is long lived wherever reborn. Now, this is the way leading to long life, to have abandoned, abstain from killing living beings. So clearly, because as you go up in towards the Deva worlds is characterized by long life, at least longer than human life. But when the person, such virtuous person, for some reason born as a human, this person still exhibits some qualities of the Deva worlds, means long lives. Now, there is a case where a woman or a man is not one who harms beings with his fists, with clogs, with sticks, with knives. Through having adopted and carried out such actions on the breakup of the body after death, this person reappears in a good destination. If instead he or she comes to the human state, then he or she is healthy wherever reborn. Remember the earlier question, why some people are sickly, some people are like never sick in the day in their lives, extremely healthy. So this is the way leading to health, not to be one who harms beings with one's fists, with clogs, with sticks, or with knives. So this is the answer to obtain health. And this is the last example I'm showing, but there are many more in the sutta, which I encourage you to read in total. So there is a case where a woman or a man is not ill-tempered or easily upset. Even when heavily criticized, he or she doesn't grow offended, provoked, malicious, or resentful, doesn't show annoyance, aversion, or bitterness. So this person, after death, reappears in a good destination. Now, if instead this person comes to the human state, he or she is beautiful wherever reborn. This is the way leading to beauty, not to be ill-tempered or easily upset, even when he heavily criticized, not to be offended, provoked, and malicious. So these are some samples of the from the questions posed by the lay people to the Buddha. To read the full list of how people are born ugly, how people are born beautiful, and so on, please read Chula Kamma Vibhanga Sutta, Majjhima Nikaya Sutta number 135. So clearly, up to now, you can see that meritorious actions that done in the past, but even done now, has impact in the later portions of your life as well as in future lives. So in the end, we are responsible for all this. In yet another sutta from the Anguttara Nikaya Book of 5, Sutta number 57, the Buddha says, I am the owner of my deeds. I inherit my deeds. Deeds are my womb, my relative, my refuge. I shall be the heir of whatever deeds I do, whether good or bad. Now you own all your actions, heir to your deeds. Heir means Although when we pass away, we cannot carry all our riches, all our happiness with us. We only inherit your deeds, your actions. Here, deeds can be translated as karma. Karma means action. These are my womb. Your actions in the previous lives as well as in this life determine which plane of existence you'll be born as, whether in a womb, whether animal womb, or in the lower realms as a human, or in the Deva worlds. So it determines what you are born as, who are your relatives, whether you have good parents, good siblings, uncles, aunties, and so on, and your refuge. Refuge is something which we go to for security. That means if it's a hot sun, we use an umbrella or we run underneath a tree or the building to shield us from the uncomfortableness of the hot blazing sun. So refuge, your actions also determine your refuge, whether you can find refuge, especially spiritual refuge, whether you got a chance to hear the Dhamma in the future, or your karma blocks you from coming across the Dhamma. And even though you hear the Dhamma, whether you come across good teachers that match your understanding. Not every teacher matches one's understanding because of the examples and the way the Dhamma is presented. So whether your refuge matches you perfectly, then you can understand the Dhamma easily from that particular teacher. That is also part of your earlier actions. So, and again, how is karma made? Intention, I tell you, is karma. Intending, one does an action by way of body, speech, and mind. And this is found in the Sutta number, Anguttara Nikaya, Book of 6, Sutta number 63. Now, Dhammapada verse 18. Ita nandati, pecha nandati, papakari ubayata nandati, papang me katanti nandati, biyo nandati sugating gato. The doer of good delights here and hereafter. He delights in both the worlds. The thought, good have I done, delights him, and delights even more when gone to realms of bliss. So the doer of good, okay, delights in this world, that means in this very life. Not that thing you do, only wait for next life, only you can experience. You can experience delights here and now, as well as hereafter, and so on. Dhammapada verse number 18. Now, blessing number 6. One's self rightly directed, or another translation, to set oneself in the right direction. At the bottom here is a lion capital, the capital made by King Asoka. The wheel on top, notice, is not the normal 8-spoke wheel. This is often called the Asoka's wheel, and this wheel is found in the center of the Indian flag. This wheel has 24 spokes, 12 forward and 12 back, reflecting the Paticca Samuppada, the dependent co-origination in the forward motion as well as in the reverse. That's why there are 24. This is typically Buddhist. Dhammapada verse 153. Through many a birth in samsara have I wandered in vain, seeking the builder of this house of life. Repeated birth is indeed suffering. And because of this reflection, we want to set our direction. Where do we want to go? And the bottom right picture shows the typical lot we have. Those who are lucky get born. Some die before their birth. We are born, we are toddlers. Hopefully we grow up, and some toddlers die. We grow up as children, as youth. Or we may find our significant other. We grow old, and if we are lucky, we grow old and pass away. This is called fortunate. Okay, those who are cut off in midstream or earlier, or even before this particular picture starts, means not even born, are classified as most unfortunate life. Now, the Buddha underneath the Bodhi tree after enlightenment, he reflected this. Dhammapada verse 154. O house builder, you are seen. You will not build this house again. For your rafters are broken, your rigid pole shattered. My mind has reached the unconditioned. I have attained the destruction of craving. So the Buddha is declaring that his mind has attained the unconditioned or attained Nibbana. Now here, this slide, which I show often, is important to remind for ordinary people. Don't talk about the enlightenment aspects, but for the lay person, what is the Dhamma for? Or the Buddha refers to his teaching as Dhamma Vinaya. The Dhamma Vinaya taught by the Gautama, the Buddha. Now here, the Buddha in the center portion is encouraging the first 60 arahats to go forth, to wander forth monks for the welfare and happiness of the people, out of compassion for the world, for the benefit, health, welfare, and happiness of gods and humans. So on this page alone, clearly, the Dhamma Vinaya taught by the Buddha is for our welfare, for our happiness, and for our benefit. And why do the monastics go out and teach? It is out of compassion for the world. So clearly, for the ordinary people, without going deep into Dhamma, we just think of it as the Dhamma Vinaya taught by the Buddha is for our benefit, for our welfare, for our happiness in this life, in the next life, and hopefully out of samsara. And here the Buddha continues to encourage, teach the Dhamma that's good in the beginning, good in the middle, good in the end, meaningful and well phrased, and reveal a spiritual practice that's entirely full and pure. They are beings with little dust in their eyes. They are in decline because they haven't heard the teaching. There will be those who understand the teaching. Now, this last portion is very important for those who want to share the Dhamma. Do not be disappointed when you share the Dhamma and yet people don't understand what you're talking and give silly replies to what you have shared. Why? Those people have much dust in their eyes. But the Buddha says, continue sharing because there are some who have little dust. So a large portion of people will not understand the Buddha's teaching, and there will be some who understand. Now here, the Buddha is talking about directions. Now, when you want to the direction in life should be a case whereby we aim to go to attain Nibbana. But while as lay people, we want to make sure our lay life is well taken care of, secure. Our requisites of life are well taken care of. Those under our charge, our loved ones, are also well taken care of. Now, what is the method? Clearly, it is the Noble Eightfold Path. Walking upon this path, you will make an end of suffering. Having discovered how to pull out the thorn of lust, I make known the path. This is Dhammapada verse 275, the Buddha describing the Noble Eightfold Path and why he is sharing the path. And the Buddha talks about the Noble Eightfold Path because some people are very impatient. Everything they want fast, like fast food. And the Buddha says, this is the only path. There's none other for the purification of insight. Tread this path and you will bewilder Mara. This is Dhammapada verse 274. Now, a lot of people talk about praying. Praying means it is as if somebody else do the work for you. But the Buddha here clearly says, you yourself must strive. Okay, so you yourself must strive. The Buddhas only point the way. Clearly here the statement says the Buddhas are only teachers. Those meditative ones who tread the path are released from the bonds of Mara. So Dhammapada verse 276. Yeah, this path I mentioned just now, Noble Eightfold Path, clearly the path to happiness. And again, the Noble Eightfold Path, starting off with the word path, as shown by the picture. The path takes you or leads to somewhere. But to go somewhere, you have to walk on that path to reach there. But what is the end of the path? Well, it is the attainment of nobility. Walking this path transforms you, changes your character, and so on, to make it more and more noble. And what are the things you have to do? They are eightfold. Eightfold, not just eight, not 7, not 6, not discounted, but the 8-fold. Why 8-fold? Because all 8 are needed to complement each other, to support each other, so that your journey along the path is correct, and leads to nobility. And it always starts with right view or right understanding. On this page is called perfect view and understanding. Once you have the correct understanding, or the rest are done correctly. Once you have wrong understanding, everything else becomes wrong. Okay. Now, for the rest of us, some of us say, wow, Noble Eightfold Path, there are 8 factors. Hey, where do I start? Well, for the lay person, this guidance of this particular sutta, also the Punya Kriya Vatu Sutta, but found in the Iti Vuttaka, Sutta number 60, also from the Khuddaka Nikaya. This sutta talks about 3 grounds for making merit. Now, as lay people, when we walk the path, there is this issue of samsara. We may not complete our training to reach Nibbana in this life. And therefore, we have to take care of not just our current survival, the requisites of living in this very life now. We have to also take care of our continued favorable or comfortable existence in samsara. It means a good destination. So what propels, as I mentioned, that is your actions. And these actions produce merit. So here in this sutta, the Buddha says, bhikkhus, there are these 3 grounds for making merit. What 3? One should train in deeds of merit that yield long-lasting happiness. So merit or punya creates long-lasting happiness in terms of happiness in this life, in the next life, and in future lives. And also along the path, along the Noble Eightfold Path. That means your practice becomes comfortable, not difficult. So yields long-lasting happiness. And what is this? Dana, sila, bhavana, giving, virtue, and mental cultivation. You will notice that earlier in another sutta of the same name, Punya Kriya Vatu Sutta from the Anguttara Nikaya, also Dana, Sila, Bhavana is mentioned. With a person who practiced a little bit of Dana and a little bit of Sila and doesn't do any meditation, in the next life may be born in an unfortunate condition. Those who do a bit more or do a lot, if you are born as a human, what they call has a more comfortable life. And if you do a lot of dana and sila, you'll be born in the higher realms, in the deva worlds. And if you do bhavana, it's even better. It brings you closer and closer towards nibbana. So this sutta ends with, by cultivating these 3 things, deeds yielding happiness, the wise person is reborn in bliss, in that untroubled, happy world. Now here, dana, sila, bhavana, although I mentioned you have to take care of your future lives and so on, the cultivation of dana, sila, bhavana creates merit which support your practice along the Noble Eightfold Path. Virtue is also part of the Noble Eightfold Path. Okay, mental development is also part of the Noble Eightfold Path. So although these 3, dana, sila, bhavana, by concentrating on these, you are also practicing the Noble Eightfold Path, but it gives a more pointed direction for the ordinary lay person. And without going too detailed, what is the use of cultivating giving or dana? So in this particular sutta from the Iti Vuttaka, the Buddha says, if beings knew, as I know, the result of giving and sharing, they would not eat without having given, nor would they allow the stain of meanness to obsess them and take root in their minds. So here the Buddha strongly encourages us to, even the monks, to give and share. The bottom pictures are of arms round, Pintachara. What about cultivation of morality or sila? Well, we recited in the earlier portion of this morning's puja, the 5 precepts, pancha sila. There are no commandments in Buddhism, they are precepts. Precepts are guidance for training ourselves. So pancha sila, pancha means 5 moral trainings. That is to abstain from killing living beings, to abstain from taking what is not given, from abstaining from sexual misconduct, to abstain from false speech, and to abstain from taking intoxicants which cause us to be heedless. But to abstain, Panchasila emphasizes abstaining or don't do, only prevents us from getting into worse trouble. But we need to do something positive to uplift us, to bring us above. And that is the job of the 5 ennoblers. Ennobles, 5 things that make us more noble. And what are the 5? They are the direct opposite of the list of 5 given at the bottom. So if you abstain from killing, what about saving lives? Have you worked on saving lives? Abstaining from taking what is not given, are you generous? In a way, pointing towards dana again, and so on. So the 5 ennoblers are the direct opposite of the abstention 5 precepts. And of course, cultivating the mind, bhavana. In the Kalama Sutta, most people are familiar with the Kalama Sutta as a sutta of don't believe this and don't believe that. The sutta also introduces us to the Brahma Vihara meditations. So thus devoid of greed, devoid of ill will, undeluded, alert and resolute, keeps pervading the first direction, that is the east, the second direction, the third, the fourth direction, with an awareness imbued with metta or goodwill or loving kindness. Now, in the suttas from India onwards, I'm not sure about Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq, and so on. In ancient literature, from India eastwards, the first direction is always the rising sun. So the first direction is the east. The second direction is the south. The third direction is the west. The fourth is the north. Okay. So here the Kalama Sutta teaches us with all these 4 directions, cardinal directions, awareness imbued with loving kindness or goodwill. Thus, it keeps pervading above, below, and all around, everywhere, and in every respect, the all-encompassing cosmos with an awareness imbued with metta, abundant, expansive, immeasurable, free from hostility, free from ill will, and so on. And the Buddha in the Kalama Sutta goes through the same verses again, but replacing metta with karuna, compassion, and further development of mudita or appreciative joy, upeka with equanimity. So in the Kalama Sutta, the Buddha introduces the lay people of the Kalamas to the Brahma Vihara meditations, which we should take advice and cultivate for ourselves too. Now, in the course of our practice, we encounter various things which we have to give up some of our bad habits. We have to introduce some good habits within our lives. Here, we're talking about the 4 right efforts given in this particular sutta. Now, monks, the Buddha said, there are these 4 right efforts. What for? It's when the monk generates enthusiasm, tries, makes an effort, exerts the mind, and strives so that bad, unskillful qualities don't arise. Now, here we are talking about those unskillful qualities, bad things to do that we have not learned how to do. Don't give them a chance to come about. We should guard our minds for that. They generate enthusiasm, try, make an effort, exert the mind, and strive so that bad, unskillful qualities that have arisen are given up. All of us have bad and unskillful qualities within our character. We should spot them and we should try to give them up. So the first portion of this page are talking about bad and unskillful qualities. The first one, you have not learned how to do bad things, don't start. Those which you are practicing regularly, work on it to give them up step by step until they become 0. And on this page, they generate enthusiasm, try, make an effort, exert the mind, and strive so that skillful qualities arise. Here we're talking about those things you have not learned, wholesome things you have not learned how to do. Try to introduce, start doing them. Now, they generate enthusiasm, try, make an effort, exert the mind, and strive so that skillful qualities that have arisen remain, are not lost. but increase, mature, and are completed by development. So here's second portion, skillful qualities that you already have. Make sure they don't diminish, not lost, but increase in strength. They mature, complete by their development. So in these 4 right efforts, the previous page was about what I call unskillful qualities, which we try to give up and don't start doing. This page, we're talking about skillful qualities, which we try to introduce within our lives, and those skillful qualities which we have already, to develop them, to bring up to stronger stands. So these are the 4 right efforts. In the same way, a monk who develops and cultivates the 4 right efforts slants, slopes, and inclines towards extinguishment. Extinguishment means enlightenment. So a person who practices, who put these 4 right efforts into action, okay, inclines, slopes towards enlightenment. So this page, we summarize again what we covered today from the Mangala Sutta, blessing number 4, 5, and 6, residence in a suitable locality, having made merit in the past, and one's mind properly directed. Now, all these practices take time. So just as a, what they call a C portion, that has a gradual shelf, a gradual slope, a gradual inclination, with a sudden drop-off only after a long stretch. In the same way, this Dhamma Vinaya of the Buddha has a gradual training, a gradual performance, a gradual penetration towards noxis only after a long stretch. So everything is step by step. Now, we have covered quite a lot of suttas that expand on all this, but if for some reason you find it difficult to remember some of the key points, this particular page is important for us to take home. Dhammapada verse 183. Sabba pahapasa akaranang kusalasa upasampada sacitta paridapanang etang buddhana sasana. That we should all avoid evil, do good, purify our minds. This is the teaching of the Buddhas. Again, a happy blessed Dragon New Year to all those who celebrate. I know last night was a late night for many of you. With that, end my Dhamma sharing. Saddhammo cirang titatu. May the good doctrine long endure. Sabbe satta sukhi hontu. May all beings be happy. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Brother Ananda, for today's sharing. Now, with all those wholesome merits we have performed so far, let us dedicate those merits to all beings, whether they are seen and unseen. Akasata ca bummata devanaga mahitika punyang tamanumoditva chiram vakantu loka sasanang ettavata ca amhehi sampadang punya sampadang sabbe deva sabbe bhuta sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Idang me nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. And aspirations. Imina punya kammena mame bala samagamo satang samagamo tu yava nibbana pattiya. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you everyone for watching, and for other videos, please visit the links below. Bye bye for now.